This is a 1985 Honda Nighthawk 650. Or I guess technically it's a, yeah, it's the CB series 650 SC. I don't know what that stands for. I'm assuming like Sport Classic or something goofy, but I just bought this probably less than a month ago, somewhere around there. And I bought this to be a first bike for me. I quit my job and this whole Corona thing and did the MSF course and wanted a bike, and actually did the course on a 250 Nighthawk. Sure, that's one of the staple bikes for courses all across the country. I'll admit, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. But I bought this pretty recently and a little confused as to what to do with it, but I'll show you everything I've done. I just 2 days ago put a little bit of polish on this cover, put these chrome bolts in. Previous owner gave me the chrome bolts and put them in there. Not that that does anything. I took all the carbs off, so I did have to pull the seat off, pull the tank off. I did have to put a new battery in. I just put a little lead acid Advanced Auto 1 brand in, because I figured why the heck. And then the spark plugs looked like they had been in there since the Clinton administration, so placed on them. And then after rebuilding the carbs, putting everything back together, it still wouldn't run, and even with a new battery, still wouldn't run. It sounded terrible. It just sounded like it was dying. Not happy. It would run though, and you know, the previous owner replaced the spark plug wires, and you know, I think he did, but basically it was running on these two cylinders, and these two were ice cold after it running for a little bit. Well, not ice cold, but you know what I mean. But she's not perfect, I'll give it that. I'm disappointed. The top of the 5 there just fell off the other day putting the cover on, but oh well. I mean, the paint is in fairly decent shape. I just waxed the tank yesterday. Still has quite a bit of shine to it. There's a weird little bit of discoloration here. I think I'll go over it with some polish. I do have the license plate bracket. I just took it off to repaint it. I get, man, like, what do you do that for? Just, you know, just put them on the right way, or just replace on them. You know, they're only a couple bucks on eBay. Whatever, I guess. These tires are very good though. Should whip out my tread depth gauge, but they're like new. I should check the date on them too. But it's not in bad shape. It's fairly well taken care of. It does have a little tear in the seat, and then really what gets me anyway is this. And there's a little bit of paint on the cover removed. And the guy's like, yeah, the previous owner said, the previous owner before the guy I bought it from, I don't know if that makes sense, whatever, but take the cover off because there's no storage under the seat on these. The only thing you got is this little cubby hole down there where the toolkit should be. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense that the guy was, whatever, you know, you just gotta stop asking questions. You'll just never get the answer. But it's really nice. It's a little 650 4-cylinder shaft drive. If you're wondering, she's air cooled. This is an oil cooler, which is smart, at least somewhat. Everything on it works, surprisingly. 39,000 miles. I reset the trip odometer, so I put 26 miles on it since I bought it, and have not registered it, so gotta be careful. Oh, turn signal is on. So let's go with about 23.9% choke. Oop. And it might help to turn the fuel valve on. That usually is a good way to keep your machine running, but maybe 23.9% choke choke wasn't the right amount. It's pretty warm out today, so yeah, that's 0 choke, and you see the idle drop a little bit, but still runs. And one thing I'll give this bike, and I thought it would be, but I just didn't quite grasp it. It is very comfortable to sit on. You know, I think this is a very good example of what a standard bike would look like. You know, just minimal body parts, you know, pretty naked look, which I honestly prefer. And, you know, she's got some meat to her. But, you know, that was a cold start. It's ice cold. And it's not perfect, like I said. There's a little paint chip right there. Can't really see that too well. Oh well. Take my word for it. And this is actually not rust. The guy said it was rust. It's like, looks like coffee stain or something. I don't know. But pretty good. I did, like I said, change the oil, and I don't know if I said that, whatever. Oil and filter and spark plugs. And the guy gave me the carb kit for it, so that was nice. Didn't even have to buy that. And, you know, fixing the firing order, that cost all of, you know, a couple hours of frustration. But I did read the owner's manual and read online, like, what's the firing order of these, and that was not helpful. So I did the right thing and just started swapping wires and trying to get it to run after I configured it differently, and found a winning combination. How do you like that? I know someone's gonna get mad because I'm revving it. It's not warmed up, but I don't care. It's got good oil in it. Good enough. But pretty shiny, pretty clean. I like it. It's a fun little bike. I keep calling it little, it's not. Well, I said I got a motorcycle predicament, so you're probably wondering, maybe you're not, but I'm going to show you. That's loud. Uh-huh. Look at her. You looking at her? I hope so. This is this year's model, 2020, so I guess it's technically a year old. In fact, in December of 19 is when it was made. Thailand. Interesting. Well, at least it's a cultured bike. I wouldn't want it to be ignorant. But it's a 2020 CB300R. Yep, that's right. It's the pirate model. And I was astonished to find out that this thing has ABS on the front and rear brake. It's got a dual piston caliper up front, just a single rotor, where the Nighthawk is, you know, got old-fashioned solid rotors, but it's got rotors on each side. This has just the one, but believe me, for a 300, it's all you need. It's got a little single piston in the rear. And now this might say it's a 300, but Honda lets you know that they're lying right off the bat. 286 cubic centimeters. That's nice. It's a pretty cool little bike. I like it. It's definitely a more beginner bike, I suppose, but that's not a bad thing for me. I think it's got a cool profile to it. I'm glad to know someone at Honda has a sense of humor putting, you know, passenger foot pegs on a 300. The front wheel, when you're riding this thing, I don't know why, but it just phases me as compared to that, just being kind of small. And like looking at the tread pattern, you know, these are new tires. These are about what they would have came with factory. And you know, obviously these are the factory tires. They're Dunlops. Cool. And it is a, like I said, it's a 300, 286, how technical you want to be. She's water cooled, fuel injected. I think that's interesting. I'm sure they just do the water cooled to, you know, make sure she's a more consistent temperature and let the fuel injection work a little bit better. That would make sense to me. But single cylinder bike, I think it sounds kind of thumpy. I'm not disappointed with it at all. And you know, it's not fast, I'll say that, but could you get into the trouble on this thing? Absolutely. I think it's cool. It's got a, you know, obviously a hydraulic front and rear brake. Still has a manual clutch. Look at that clutch adjustment. They're not telling you not to work on this thing. They're practically asking you to. I'm gonna roll her in the shade a bit. Oop. So you can see, no gauges. Check this out, a little message it puts on the screen when you... Oh, you can't read that at all. Here, I'll try it again. It's too darn sunny out. Let's ride. So you got your fuel gauge, clock, because that's essential. Tach, revs to 10,500 is the red line. You got your odometer. I put 265 miles on it. Average fuel economy, I think that is just awesome. 78 miles to the gallon. And I'm not riding this thing like particularly conservative. It does have a little check engine light. It flashes when you put the kill switch on. Temperature gauge and a little indicator for your side stand. So, I mean, she's pretty basic. There's not a whole lot to this thing, which is not a complaint at all. I think it's cool. No oil dipstick, just a little see-through. Little plug, you fill her up. It's got the same radiator cap for a Civic and such. And if you want to check your coolant, there's a little thing in there that says coolant. And you just unscrew her. Check that, you got a little coolant dipstick. I worked at a Honda dealer for a little over a year, and so I'm a little Honda biased. Not to say that other bikes aren't good, but I like this. But fire her up again. Like I said, it sounds pretty thumpy. I think it has a nice overall profile and sound. To be honest, it looks way more aggressive than it really is. I do dig the gold rims. I like that. I think that's a really cool factory thing to do. And the LED center light is pretty cool. And these turn signals are standard on a lot of the smaller Honda models. In fact, they put those same turn signals on the Super Cub, the new Super Cub. But pretty cool. I like it. Give it a little listen. They did have to take the stickers off. I just can't have that. But you know, obviously everything works on it. You sure as heck hope so. So I'm a little bit torn as what to do, because I just don't feel like I can keep both bikes. And as you can probably see, I got my 128 behind me, and now that I quit my job, that was my commuter car, it just sits there. I let the registration run out like a responsible adult, and I just never use it. I bought that Jeep Grand Cherokee 2000 for, you know, $1,000. Haven't had it for a year yet, but if I do go out in a car, I typically take that because, you know, I just don't care about it as much, and it's also a really good vehicle for how much money I got into it. So I'm not totally sure what to do, you know. On the one hand, we got a 35-year-old classic Honda 650. It's pretty powerful. You'd be surprised. This thing it'll rip the pants off you if you're not careful. And for that reason, I'm a little hesitant to keep it. Because, you know, I like to think I have self-control, but I just don't. And the other thing is, you know, I say a little bit under 1,500 bucks into this bike, but I probably could sell it for, you know, being optimistic, I'd probably get $2 grand out of it. You know, I see that, you know, this one needs a little work. I need to clean it up a little bit more. I'm not done with it yet. But I really like how it looks, and it's honestly more comfortable than this bike, which is sad, but the seat is just a little bit more relaxed. The handlebars are just curved up a little bit more. This gives off more of a cruiser feel. These are both technically standard motorcycles, but this is like a standard bike that's, you know, skewed way more towards sport bike, where I feel like this one's, you know, angled towards more of a cruiser. But I like them both, so I don't know what to do. My thinking is that this one I could potentially make money. I could at least break even. And I think I could make money if I, you know, put a little more lipstick on it or something. And I like the look of the chrome. I think it's classy. I think it looks good. And I like the look of this, but have you looked at it? Are you seeing it? I mean, it's got more plastic in it than a Kardashian, so I don't really know if it'll stand the test of time, but for right now it's good. It's got a year warranty on it, and I can always extend that. So I'm thinking what would be logical would be to get rid of the BMW and probably, unfortunately, sell the Nighthawk. But I really enjoy it. It's a really nice bike. And if you're looking at one of these, you know, just evaluate where you are in life. Make sure you're not gonna just, you know, crack the throttle open, because, you know, the throttle on this thing to me is like it's like a bush light around a Midwesterner. You know, you just can't help but, and it's got such a nice exhaust note. I really like it. And I can keep both technically, but that just doesn't seem smart. So I got some thinking to do, but if you got a good idea, let me know. If you're interested in this thing, or this thing for that matter, let me know if you're in the Nashville area, because I just, you know, it's just not responsible to keep both. I just don't need them. You know, I've put, okay, 24 miles on that and 265 miles on this. That's my total motorcycle experience so far. And being on this, I'm just gonna get overzealous and, you know, end up hurting myself. I already got 7 points on my license, so I gotta watch. This isn't gonna help with that. And neither is that BMW. Besides that, BMW is gonna depreciate, and this thing won't. But if you got any good ideas, let me know. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see anything more specific on anything really, let me know, and I'll try and make a video. Well, I'm probably not too good at it. Thanks for watching. I'm just gonna, I got the key for this. Oh, I do. Look at that. Oh boy. Whoop. Hitting on the wrong side, that's always good. See you chumps later.